I really prefer flying at airports. Airports are built for aviation, have lots of space, and someone else mows the grass. They're wonderful assets to the flying community and wonderful places to fly from. The problem is that local airports can be busy hubs of activity with pilots of all kinds coming and going. Powered parachutes, powered paragliders, and ultralight aircraft are kind of the odd birds at an airport, and with their lower speeds are harder to see. Combine all of that with poor airport etiquette and you can see why airports don't exactly roll out the red carpets for our kind of flying. The so-called solution for many is to try to force themselves onto the airport. However, many airports have security fences and coded gates, and it's easy for airport managers to passive-aggressively keep you from flying there. But all is not lost. It isn't impossible to gain access. The best way is to use courtesy and demonstrate that you're a good pilot who will fit safely in with the airport community. Let's talk specifics. Even before you approach an airport, you need to understand how to behave at an airport. Airports are about safety first. You can't begin to understand how to operate at an airport unless you've received some flight training. Airport operations include how to move on the ground, how to fly the pattern, and how to communicate with other aircraft. And of course, all of that assumes that you already know how to take off and land a powered parachute consistently. If you don't understand these basics, you will probably wear your welcome out very quickly. Worse, it will be difficult for you to dispel that initial impression if you try to correct your ways. And the worst is that the impression isn't just of you, it will be for the entire category of aircraft you fly. If you're the only powered parachute pilot at an airport, you represent all powered parachute pilots whether you mean to or not. So if you fly poorly as a powered parachute pilot, you will be making it difficult for every other powered parachute pilot who may someday want to fly at that airport. And, by the way, realize that if you're having a difficult time gaining access to your local airport in the first place, it may be because some pilot years ago created trouble at the airport. You may be paying the price for someone else's shenanigans. Next is use an aviation band radio and tune it into the right frequency for the airport. The rules don't say that you must have one, but I'm telling you that you do, and here's why. What if you do something unexpected? Something that makes sense for a powered parachute pilot, but not to a general aviation pilot. If you can announce your intentions on the airport's common traffic advisory frequency before you do it, you probably won't rile people up. And if you're on the radio and talking, using proper radio procedures, you will more quickly become part of the club. You may even make a few pilot friends. More important, you won't be creating pilot enemies. But I know your question is along the lines of, how do I get airport access? The best way is to meet with the airport manager and talk about it. Don't go into the meeting with attitude, or you'll just get attitude in return. If you smell like trouble, the manager isn't going to welcome you, and he is the one in charge of safety at the airport. If you go into a meeting and you sound like you know what you're doing and you're courteous to the airport manager, your odds of gaining access improve by a bunch. It really is that simple. When you get access to the airport, don't forget to leave the airport. Many pilots never leave the pattern or go anywhere. They fly in circles over the airport, fly S-turns down the runway, or just clog up the local sky while other pilots are attempting to take off, land, and sometimes train. You should take off and get out of the pattern, especially if you're flying with a group. And finally, become part of the airport community. If there's an EAA chapter associated with the airport, join it. If there's a pancake breakfast, participate. If there's something going on, volunteer. Show others that you're willing to give back to the local community. Being a positive influence will really make you a popular person at the airport instead of a burden. That's really how simple it is. Of course, some managers may not be convinced that you belong at their airport. That may mean that they had a bad experience with powered parachutes or talked to another airport manager who had a bad experience. My experience is that most airport managers are there because they like aviation, but they don't want drama, and they certainly don't want anyone unsafe. Remember, for them, letting someone into an airport is like renting an apartment or hiring an employee. It's easier to say no to someone who looks like trouble than it is to try to evict or fire someone who proves to be trouble. If you're interested in powered parachute flight instruction in either the Midwest or in Florida, please visit the link to easyflight.com. And please remember to like and subscribe if you're interested in powered parachutes. Thanks so much for watching, and blue skies.